At the beginning of the story, we are told that 4% of the world's population is being born as mutants who had some superpowers as they were born. Like some mutants had the superpower to control things from their mind, and some had the power to control electricity. Some mutants who could treat others, and some had the superpower to remove fire from their hands. All these people used to live together with ordinary people. The government has also registered these mutants based on their powers, and these mutants used to get jobs based on their powers. Then time passed and humans started to dislike they mutants, and they made robots to work as mutants, and such mutants stopped getting jobs. Mutants started to be misused. Humans made a chemical substance called psych, which was taken out of the spine of mutants. After all this, we are shown a boy named Connor, who was a mutant. His mom was also a mutant like him and had cancer. Connor used to stay worried because of her. Mutants had stopped getting jobs, so Connor didn't have money to get his mom treated. He comes to a construction site to work. He had the power to control electricity, so he got the job of wiring at home. But in a while, police drones came here which announced that all the mutants working here should come out. Without a special certificate, these mutants could not even work, and one of the mutants working here did not have a special certificate. This mutant is arrested, and to save himself, this mutant uses his fire powers and attacks the officers and runs away. In the meantime, two robots flying in the sky inside the police drones come down, attack the mutant and kill him. The scene shows that the police have raided a house where chemical substances called sick were being extracted from the bones of the mutant. The man who was doing this kills an officer to save himself, but still he is caught, and the police get a lot of coverage from the media to catch chemical substance mafias. After this, we see that Connor's mom used to work in a store, but due to her ill health, she makes loss here, and the manager starts scolding her. At the same time, Connor comes to him and scares him with his powers. His mom apologizes to the officer and takes her son out of there, and says to Connor in the car, "You should control your anger. We have no other option but work, and I don't want you to do anything bad like your dad." So Connor goes to work the next day, but no one had come to pick him up yet. At this time, a red car comes there. A colleague of Connor tells him that these people are goons, and if we work with them, we can get caught in the police. But the man named Gary sitting in that red car tells Connor that he needs a mutant to control electricity, and he will give him $200 for a small job. Connor goes with him even though he doesn't want to. Gary brings them all to a base from where they had to steal, but there was a power outage in the gate. Connor uses his powers to end all the current here, after which a girl melts the lock of this place with her fire powers, and these people easily steal and run away from there. While running, police drones were behind them. These people hide their car under a bridge and remove the red cover from it, and when they go out of the bridge, the drones are not able to detect this car. The drone leaves from there, and they all come to a club where a group leader named Gary gets another task to rob a bank, on whose birthday he was going to get a lot of money. It is shown that the police officer is now at the point where Gary and Connor had stolen the day before. The police discovers that this is the work of the same mafia gang, behind whom they have been after for a long time, and now a mutant who controls electricity has joined their gang. According to him, they guessed this from the damaged electricity gate. Here Gary, to figure out Connor's powers, he tells him to shut down the alarm system of a car. As Connor does this, they steal this car and reach a base where Gary starts training Connor. Connor is given $25,000. Here Connor also finds out that Gary has the power to control things with his brain. That means he is also a mutant. After this, they go to the same bank they had to rob. Finding out about all the security systems, they make a proper plan to rob the bank. Finally, one day they reach here to rob this bank with their entire gang. Gary drops everything here with his power, and also catches the security officers here. While on the other side, Connor opens the safe here with his electricity power, but unfortunately, there was no money inside. Seeing this, Gary gets angry and asks the bank manager where the money went. The bank manager tells him that every Friday, the money here is sent to a large branch. Now there was only $50,000 here, which they steal and decide to run away from here. As they come out of the bank, the police drones had come here to catch them. Connor, using his fast electricity powers, gives a lot of electric shocks to the drone and throws it away, and as the opportunity comes, these four run away from here. Gary had now come to that club where he meets the mafia guy. He tells him that all the information you had was wrong. There was no money, we took such a big risk, and we only got $50,000, and I know you won't give me anything out of this. During these talks, a girl comes from behind to attack the mafia guy whom Connor saw already. he gives her a shock and flee her from there. After that, the girl was going to catch Connor and kill him, but from behind, the guards shoot him and kill him. Connor only had a small wound on his hand. In the club, a girl comes to him and heals his wound. Connor becomes surprised to see this and says, "You have the power to heal people. What are you doing with these evil people?" Before that girl answers, a guard comes to call her saying, "The boss is calling you." Surely she was the boss's friend. Connor now goes home where he sees that his mom has seen all the money he had. After this, she found out that Connor was no longer working. In fact, he was involved in evil deeds. On it, Connor replies, "Mom, I just want to see you well, and for this, no matter what I have to do." Now he was saying that his mom fainted. Connor takes her to the hospital where doctors tell him that his mom is a mutant and all her powers are damaging her brain. He comes out of the hospital and finds 2 police officers. After coming to the police station, they start investigating him and say, "Now you are being seen with Gary. He does bad things, and you guys are stealing together." Connor says, "I did not do anything wrong. Gary is just my friend." These police officers tell him that after a few days we are going to burn the chemical substances of the mafia for which Gary and you are working for the mafia. If you know anything about that mafia, we can spare your life if you tell us. But Connor replies that no, I don't know anything about them. The police leaves him, and now he goes to the club where the mafia man reads his mind and finds out that he has not told the police anything yet. Connor says, "I need money." The mafia man says, "If you save the chemical substances from the police, then we can get $1 crore, from which I will give you money." Connor says, "No, this is not possible." On which Gary says, "Yes, we can steal it. But the condition is if we do it, we should get half of the money because this is a dangerous job." In the next scene, it is shown that the police had the same bag of chemical substances which Gary and Connor were planning to steal. With a lot of security guards, these bags are kept in a van, and on top of that, the police drones were also keeping an eye on this van. In the no-fly zone, when the drones move away from it, then Gary and Connor start working on their plan. They stop the van with a truck in front of the van. Gary, with the power to control his things, takes the robots away from the van, after which Connor sees these robots and makes them unconscious. A colleague of them who had fire powers, she opens the door by melting the door, and takes out the officers from inside, who had the chemical substances bag. As they get the bags, the mafia starts killing Gary's group members from behind. Gary does not understand what was happening to him. Meanwhile, the robots come from above and start attacking the mafia people. To save his colleague, Gary steals a car from there and runs away with Connor. They had already gone far by deceiving the police, but now it was too late. Their other colleague was also dead. Actually, the mafia man had cheated them. He was using them to get the chemical substances bags, and because of this, Connor was also angry. There, the police were also investigating the rest of this. According to an officer, all this work was done by the mafia, and he felt that all the murders there had been done by Connor, but the other officer knew that he was not a killer. Connor also calls his officer to meet him in a hotel, and he tells the officer the whole truth, that the mafia man had killed all the guards. Along with that, the members of my group have also died, and hearing this, the officer says, "You should surrender to the police." After all this, Connor says, "Yes, you are right. I am also becoming a criminal like my dad, and I should do this now." Connor has given all the information of that mafia man to the police. After getting it, they immediately attack his club. That man runs away from here by saving his chemical substances, while here the police officers had killed many of his colleagues. Gary comes and shoots his own leader from the back road from where they were escaping. When his right hand tries to attack Gary, Gary also dropped his gun with his power. But this man was also strong, due to being a mutant. When he was not coming under Gary's control, Connor comes from behind and injured him with his powers. But this doesn't affect him. He was now going to kill both Gary and Connor at the same time. Meanwhile, Gary puts his knife in his eye, and to reduce his strength, Connor attacks him again with electricity. After it, he finally dies, and Gary goes to his boss and kills him by strangling him with his power, and says this was just the revenge for ending my companions. Here, the friend of the mafia who had the power to cure anyone, Connor asks her to come with him. "My mom is also sick, and you have to cure her." This girl shows Connor her arm. The same wound on the arm that she had cured Connor means that the girl could not cure anyone, only her illness could have taken over. but Connor does not care about this. He takes her to his mom in the hospital. This girl starts taking her mom's cancer in her body. She was in a lot of pain. She screams loudly, and here Connor's heart melts. He says, just let it be and forgive me. Just leave from here. In a while, Connor's mom had regained consciousness, and Connor was sitting and talking to her. On the other hand, Gary had joined hands with the Mafia Don. After his boss's death means now he was going to take care of all this chemical substance business himself. The scene cuts and we are shown the scene after a few months where Connor's mom has died. We know that he has left all the bad work because he was doing all this work for his mom's treatment. In the second part, the time after 5 years of this story is shown where Connor has come out of a jail. We know that Connor had to go to jail because of Gary's bad work, although he had left all the bad work. This time when he came out of jail, Gary had come to pick him up, who tells him that you went to jail for me. I will always remember this favor. In return of this, I will do as you say. On it, Connor replies, okay fine. Never show me your face again. As he heard this, Gary had gone from there in anger. In the next scene, we are told that the way the robots used to catch and kill all the mutants. Because of this, K9 robots have been made for the safety of mutants. These dogs-like robots did not kill their enemies. Instead, they attacked their feet and dropped them. And if their enemy raised his hand and surrendered, then they would not be able to harm them anymore. Electricity and fire had no effect on these robotic dogs. A girl named Nia was also watching all this, whose brother used to sell chemical substances for Gary. He meets Gary and teaches Gary his superpowers, because he wanted to be involved in other bad things, other than selling chemical substances. But here, Gary's guard picks him up badly and drops him, which made him very angry. In the next scene, it is shown that Gary is telling his people to deliver a bag of money to a place. They take the money bag and put it in a trash can, and Nia's brother sees this. And before he could get rid of them, a police car comes and stops here. There was the same Officer Joe whom we have seen introducing K9 robots before. When he finds out that there is no money, he tells his people that I don't care about this. I just want my share and deliver it to Gary. During all this, a police officer had seen Nia's brother here. To save himself, the boy runs away from here, and the Officer Joe leaves his K9 robot behind him. While running away, the boy had fallen. He raises his hand and surrenders in front of K9, but on Joe's request, K9 had given him a harsh chemical substance and killed him. His sister Nia also saw all this, that's why K9 attacks Nia too. Now we are shown Connor, who works as a cleaner in a community center. Here he comes to meet an old police officer who tells him that you went to jail instead of Gary, and behind you, he has done a big business of psych chemical substances in the city. In fact, he has also joined the big police officers. I want you to help me get them caught. But Connor refuses. While saying this to the officer, I don't work with them, neither do I have any information about them. Here Connor, who was cleaning outside his community center, sees Nia scared in a cabin. He takes her inside. The owner of the community center talks to Nia, and they find out that the police dogs killed Nia's brother at night. Connor did not believe that because those dogs did not do such a thing. Here in the news, they see that the news of Nia's brother's death was going on, and Officer Joe tells everyone that boy died of taking overdose of drugs. Nia turns off the TV in anger and says to Connor, he is lying. He didn't take drugs. Now Connor was shocked to see his powers. And then Nia says, I have heard that the police officers have arrived here. They escape from the police and run from the back of the building, but from behind, the strange robots from police drones had come down to catch them. Connor them with his electricity power and breaks them, and Nia turns off the drone with her power. They run to a restaurant, and here Connor calls Gary to meet him. Gary asks him, what is the matter? Why did you call me here? On it, Connor replies that I have to get someone out of the city, that too while saving from the eyes of the police. Gary says, I know the same girl sitting behind you whose brother used to sell chemical substances for me. He stole from me and my partners and was killed by the police officers. This girl has also seen all this, and the police officers are looking for this girl. This girl's superpowers are also amazing. Connor was surprised that how does Gary know all this? Gary says, leave all that. You want to keep this girl safe, and I will take responsibility for it. For this, we have to remove the memory from her mind, in which the police ended her brother, otherwise, the police will end her. They take this girl to a woman who holds Nia's hand and starts erasing her brother's memories. Connor says we only talked about erasing one memory, and you are going to erase all the things on it. The woman says one memory cannot be erased. It is necessary to erase all the memories. Connor does not want this, and as he goes ahead to stop all this, Gary's man attacks him with his fire. As Connor lifts his hand up to escape, the water pipes on top burst. In this way, the process of erasing Nia's memories stops, and on the other hand, Connor becomes furious. He leaves a current in the water to take revenge on Gary for this bad move all his companions, and Gary got an electric shock, and now Connor comes to his boss with Nia. Nia was angry with Connor at this time, and her boss says to Nia to calm her anger. I know Connor, he is a good man, but yes, sometimes he does some bad things. But I know that you will forgive him for this. At the same time, the police were also keeping an eye on these people. Officer Joe tells his location to Gary, who stops his car under a bridge. He wanted to kill Nia here. Connor says you are taking revenge on me by killing this girl. Before killing this girl, you have to kill me. Gary points a gun to kill him, but couldn't end his old friend. Officer Joe was keeping an eye on them through two robots. When he sees that Gary could not kill his friend Connor, then he orders to kill them all. These robots fire bullets there. All Gary's companions are killed, and Connor's boss also gets injured. If these people had stayed here a little longer, they would have been killed. They decide to leave here together. While Connor's boss is killed, Gary comes to his house with Nia and Connor. Here at Nia's behest, Connor treats Gary. After that, Connor tells Nia that big accidents happen in life, but we should not give up like this. Anyway, I have another person who can help us. These people now go to the police officer who asked for help from Connor to capture Gary, and Officer Joe officer was now telling Connor that it is not so easy to catch Joe. There are politicians and chemical substance mafia behind him, which will not let him get caught so easily. Connor asks, is there any way to catch him? Then Nia says, yes, there is a way. His K9 dog records everything. We can show his bad deeds to people through those recordings. Then Gary tells them that Joe also has a personal K9 dog, and he killed Nia's brother. If we transfer all his memories to a device, then this will work. They now make a plan and go to Joe's house. They tell Joe's wife that we have come from the election committee. Joe wants to come to politics in the coming days. We have some work with Joe in this matter. In the meantime, Joe comes home and gets shocked to see these people here. Joe was behaving well with them in front of his wife. It is shown that Nia has gone to his base by controlling his base lock. She also controls Joe's K9 robot, and Joe's office also knows about this action. They call Joe's house to give this news. To receive this call, when Joe's wife gets up from them, Joe attacks Gary with a knife lying on the floor. But Gary says while moving him away from his powers, I knew from the beginning that you are a mutant, and you pretend to be a normal human being. But unfortunately, the mutants who do not use their powers gradually decrease. That's why his knife falls down and they leave from here. After Joe's office call, as he goes down to his base, he does not find his dog there. His dog had been stolen by them, where Nia now sees the footage of her brother's death, along with the footage of Joe's other bad deeds through her powers. They now come to Gary's base with this dog. As they go there, Gary's men catch Connor and Nia. It was all Gary's trick. Gary wanted to use Nia and Connor to get that dog in which there was evidence against Officer Joe. Officer Joe used to take half the profits of his chemical substance business, but now he had evidence against Joe, using which he could blackmail Joe. In the meantime, Joe had come with his full force. Gary takes his K9 robot's body except for head and says, hold your robot. Its head is now with me. I have evidence against you, and now you can't blackmail me. Hearing this, Joe attacks him with a knife. Connor tells Gary's men to quickly hand over the head to him if they come here. You won't be able to do anything. As they hear this, Gary's men give him the head of the K9 robot, but the force had now reached here. Connor attacks these people with his electricity power, but nothing happens to them. Meanwhile, the officers start killing Gary's companions, but Connor runs away with Nia. But the officers leave their K9 robot behind them. The K9 robot had now attacked Connor. Connor tries to kill him with his electricity power, but nothing happens to this robot. This dog was now going to overdose Connor's chemical substance and kill him. That's when Nia takes control of the dog. Meanwhile, a police officer comes from behind with a new K9 dog. Nia attacks it through the K9 dog she controlled. That police officer was continuously firing bullets at them. Nia orders the officer to kill the K9 dog with her control. The K9 dog gives all the dose of the chemical substance in a few minutes and kills him. But it is shown that one of the officer's bullets had also hit Nia. To save Nia, Connor quickly picks her up and comes down from the building. At this time, another K9 dog was about to attack him. But then here, Wounded Gary stops the robot with his power. Connor calls a news reporter here to stop the K9 robot, and puts all memories of Joe's K9 dog into his camera. Now the whole city was watching Joe's misdeed, where he used to say that his K9 robots would not harm anyone. But these K9 robots had killed a lot of people. Joe have killed many people, and many bad deeds he had done. His wife had also seen it. Joe was about to shoot Connor after seeing all of this, but even here, Gary controls his hand with his powers, and the police officer who was helping Connor had come here and arrested Joe. After this, the scene cuts and the scene a few months is shown where Connor is again working as a cleaner in the community center. Now a lot of kids come here, and we also get to see Nia here. On the other hand, Joe had also been punished by the police, and Gary was watching this news on TV in the jail. He was happy to hear this.